very few months we shall be confronted with demands with which we shall no doubt be invited to comply. Those demands may affect the surrender of territory or the surrender of liberty. I foresee and foretell that the policy of submission will carry with it restrictions upon the freedom of speech and debate in Parliament, on public platforms, and discussions in the press. For it will be said, indeed, I hear it is said sometimes now, that we cannot allow the Nazi system of dictatorship to be criticized by ordinary common English politicians. Was Churchill prophetic? I quote Churchill regarding Islam. So Winston Churchill, how dreadful are the curses which the Mohammedan lays on its Voltaires, besides the fanatical frenzy, which is as dangerous in a man as a hydrophobia in a dog. Mohammedanism is a militant and proselytizing faith. It has already spread throughout Central Africa, raising fearless warriors at every step, and were it not that Christianity is sheltered in the strong arms of science, the science against which it had vainly struggled, the civilization of modern Europe might fall as fell the civilization of ancient Rome. Was Churchill Islamophobic? Was Churchill prophetic? I guess Churchill was a Nazi foe. Yet the Nazi foes were right. They warned about all these things. There's two ways to learn about Islam. There is a sensitivity course that you can learn about Islam, or you can go to Coptic communities in Egypt and ask them what it's like to live under Islam. You can go to Assyrian communities in Iraq, ask them what it's like to live under Islam. Ask a Jewish community in any Muslim country what it's like to live under Islam. Ask the Jews of Banu Qurayza, who the founder himself chopped off the heads of the males and took the females as concubines. The problem with Islam is not that we can reform it by going to the text. Reformation began in Christianity when we used the text. Not so Islam. Let me remind you, this is Oxford. This is a place where John Wycliffe learned his education, and Will Tyndale, both reformers of the Christian world. Now, you hear all these things by many authors, and I'm ashamed to stand here in a country that at one time was Christian, a university that one time was a Christian. I read the words of so many books, The God Delusion by Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, God is Not Great. When was the last time a Brit wrote a book, Allah is Not Great? Yet the attack on the Christian is a tradition these days. The attack on the Christian in the Middle East, who else speaks for their voices? If Islam is such a peaceful religion, in my own country, in the Middle East, Christianity constituted 20% of the population. Today, Christians constitute only 2% of the population. Minorities do not leave countries for no reason. You must ask yourself these questions about the persecution of Quds, the Syrians in Iraq, the Lebanese Christians. You hear continually in Great Britain about many massacres. You hear about Jenin massacre. All these massacres. When was the last time you heard of the Damour massacre in Lebanon? Beautiful verses in the Quran. The Quran is a swap meet. You can pick beautiful verses and you can pick ugly verses. Apologists and sensitivity teachers will give you the beautiful verses. I was quoted to us one verse that says, whoever saves a life saves the whole earth, and whoever kills a life is as he kills the whole earth. Borrowed from from the Talmud, Jewish book. Yet never was continued the verse that comes right after it. Why was one verse taken, but not the continuation of the verse? I urge you to go and find for yourselves. Whoever saves a life is as he serves the whole earth, and whoever kills a life is as he kills the whole earth. But whoever does mischief, then chop their hands and feet from opposite sides and crucify them. The problem is that we are trying to identify Islam. A lady comes up and she says, how could we be prejudiced towards a religion? And I do agree with her. How could we be prejudiced towards Muslims? The question is, what is Islam? Are we talking about a religion? Or are we talking about a system of government with one of its tentacles is religion?
On that point,
Islam is a constitution. Islam is Sharia law. There is not a single scholar in the world that will tell you Islam is not a constitution, a form of government. The Prophet of Islam himself, the founder of the religion, said, أمرت أن أقاتل الناس حتى يقولوا لا إله إلا الله محمد رسول الله. I have been ordered to fight all nations until they all say there is no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger. Sitting at the dinner table, I asked the lady, we talk about the Crusades. How bad were the Christians? I said, may I confirm, they were very nasty. The Crusaders were very nasty. But what would you say about Tariq ibn Ziyad, who occupied Spain?
Please don't take my words out of context.
She said, no, that was not a bad thing. The beautiful verses of in the Yahud wal-Nasara and all these things, you find many beautiful verses. The Jews and the Christians and the Sabians are all wonderful people. You find the surah of the Makkiyan surahs, and these are all nice and dandy, fine and dandy. Yet when you go to the surahs in the Madaniyan, what do you find? You find all these things have been abrogated, yet they don't tell you so. Sensitivity courses do not tell you of the laws of abrogation. They talk about asbab al-nuzul. You must always look at the context of the verses, at the context of the Sharia law. There is a reason for this, and there is a reason for that. Look at asbab al-nuzul, Ibn Ishaq. Asbab al-nuzul explains the peaceful verses fight against those who fight against you, but do not begin hostilities. Sounds great. Then Surah 929, fight against the people of the book. Ibn Ishaq stated that the first verses were when Muhammad was in Mecca and weak. Then in Medina became military leader. The same thing you find here. Now Islam is still virtually infant in Great Britain. You will hear tons of these verses. But once Islam becomes strong, things will change around. In fact, I like to quote Sheikh Qaradawi, who you use as a consultant in your country. Sheikh Qaradawi, I have the videos. I used to be part of the IAP, Islamic Association of Palestine, pre-Hamas. I was there, conspiring against the West. Sheikh Qaradawi given the example, a perfect example. When Richard the Lionheart wanted to make peace with Salah ad-Din brought his consultant. And he asked him, what should we do? The Quran says, if they concede to peace, then concede to it. Beautiful verse. Of course, Salah ad-Din said, I am a Kurd and you are an Arab. You should know the Quran better than I. The Quran also says, why should you concede to peace when you have the upper hand? Things changed around. You hear all the time, suicide bombing is caused by occupation. Suicide bombing is caused by frustration. Muslim suicide bombers is caused through poverty. I asked an Indian a question in a university. Do you have poverty in India? He says, yes sir, we've got lots of poverty in India, lots of poverty. Do you guys blow yourselves up as a result of poverty? No, we don't blow ourselves up, but they come from Pakistan and they blow us up. Why would they blow them up in Pakistan? 3/4 of suicide bombing. You had 7/7. For Pete's sake, English, wake up. You have suicide bombing. 3/4 of suicide bombing exist in Muslim countries that have no occupation. No totalitarian West. No imperialist British. 3/4 3/4 of the suicide bombing comes for one reason and one reason alone, that the Prophet of Islam himself promised. He said, لا تحسبن الذين قتلوا, that the Quran says, لا تحسبن الذين قتلوا في سبيل الله أموات بل أحياء عند ربهم يرزقون. Do not think that the ones who die in the cause of Allah are dead, but are alive with Allah receiving His blessings. By the first drop of the martyr's blood, not only he will enter paradise, but he becomes an intercessor for 70 members of his or her family. You might think peaceful Muslims do not support this. 55% of Muslims in Jordan support Al-Qaeda. 65% of Muslims in Pakistan support Al-Qaeda. You are sitting ducks, my friend. You just wait, and the day will come, and I will prophetically remind you of it. Thank you very much.